is Randy? Don't bring anyone mother into this. Yo, mom in the fucking stand!
They're on the road. But
I told you this at the Comedy Store the other night.
Yeah.
When because it's kind of.
I think we talked about that. Yeah,
we did because it's kind of funny sometimes when you do this and you're working as a comic and then you see people in the green room where you're like, holy shit. And it is kind of funny, man, to me that, your show, I think a lot of people maybe experience, not a lot of people, but some people experience having a show or, working on a show and you're like, I was on TV. But your show was the first of its kind. It's been, you see a lot of bad imitations, some good imitations of you and what you did. Like you're a true original. And that was must-see television for us.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if, I'm sure you realize it, but
Yeah.
for me, I think we figured out that I was probably 18 or 19.
These are formative years, and we're watching you and the Slutmobile and your dad, and it blew our fucking minds.
It blew our minds, man.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
What was it, at the peak of that being on MTV? What was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was sort of a surreal, a very surreal few years when just readjusting to that to
that level of fame.
Yeah, well, because I did the show. Like I said, I was doing Yuck Yucks. I don't even say I was doing stand up. I was doing Yuck Yucks when I was 15.
Yeah.
So I was doing that as a kid, and then I what actually happened? I got this record deal in Canada for a rap group that I was in when I was 19. And that's kind of why I stopped doing the stand up because we went and we started this rap. Well, I'd been doing it.
What was your group called?
We were called Organized Rhyme.
Okay.
And we got nominated for a Juno Award in Canada, which is a Canadian Grammy.
Jesus.
And we had a hit record, but a hit record in Canada, we didn't make any money or anything like that. It was just kind of it was number one on the top 10 at 10 on the radio, but we weren't selling records or anything like that. And then that kind of fizzled out. I went back to school and started the show with my friends from college, from broadcasting school, and did the show for about 5 years.
And you're just doing this for fun?
Voluntarily. At a public access station, making videos.
And back then, it's harder, too, by the way. This is like editing on, an Avid machine? They didn't have...
No, not even that. It was actually tape. So it was tape to tape, Betacam, or 3/4-inch tape, or high 8 tape. So you'd have two machines. I edited everything myself, so that's why I went to broadcasting school, because I figured no one was ever going to make my show.
You have no expectations while you're doing this? Like that it would become something?
No, I was kind of a very motivated and driven kid. So I did have expectations. I was trying to sell the show from the day, but
Were you getting feedback? Like, were people coming up to you?
I was like a total nerd, video geek, and I mean the way I got the record deal was because I started buying a lot of I'd work a summer job and buy a drum machine, and then I'd make this rap demo, and then I would go to when a local Canadian rap group was performing, I'd show up with my demo tape and hand it to the manager,
Yeah.
And so I sort of kind of hustled a little bit,
Isn't that crazy? Sorry.
Because I was scared shitless
it.
that I was going to have to keep working at Dairy Queen or whatever I was doing,
Yeah.
So I was just terrified of
That
having
fear
to
is
work
a great motivator,
telemarketing jobs.
Oh, man.
And I worked as a mover. I was working as a landscaper. I was doing tons of stuff like that. So I was terrified. So but basically, when the show got picked up by MTV, it was kind of 10 years of hustling around trying to make something happen. And then all of a sudden, it sort of exploded and overnight on MTV, which was shocking because, we didn't have MTV in Canada. So we had Much Music.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's sort of the same thing, but
Are you living still in Canada? Do you fly over to make it? Or
so I was living in Canada, and I sent. I mean, there's the long short story is I went and did this talk show in Canada called The Mike Bullard Show. It was the David Letterman of Canada, and I would do these ridiculous stunts on the show, things that I'm not even sure I want to repeat. I showed up with a suitcase, and as I repeat it, showed up with a suitcase handcuffed to me, and then in the middle of the interview, I opened it, and there's a dead raccoon in it, and it's rotting, and I start shaving it, and then they have to stop tape, and the host goes and is sick, you know, and it's like makes like news and stuff in Canada. It was. I should not be repeating this, should I? I should not be.
It's on. It's on
YouTube. But anyway, so at one of those tapings, I met my future manager, who's now my friend Howard Lapidus, and he managed Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla.
Yeah,
and they were doing Loveline on MTV. And he saw my crazy talk show appearance, and I gave him some tapes, and he took them to MTV, and that's how I got on MTV.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
wow.
So
well, you know what I love about your story is that you did that self-hustle in an era where it kind of wasn't as easy as it is now. Like you hear kids complaining, like, how do I? It's like, bro, you've got this. This is all you fucking need now. You can make a TV show on this. Yeah. There's no excuse to not do it now, but to do it. How punk rock is it that you did it in a time where it was fucking so hard to do anything?
Yeah, I had no money, and nobody was sort of like, so like you couldn't go buy a video camera. Because a video camera was $2,000,
right?
And then once you had a video camera, what are you going to do with that? You can't edit the video.
How thought out were your bits?
So I went to college so I could get my hands on a video camera. You know?
Jesus Christ. How planned out were bits? Were these like just off the top of your head? Let's just do this.
Sort of a mixture.
Yeah.
Like we would spend a lot of our time, writing. We'd sit down, me and my buddies, and we'd think of what's the most ridiculous thing we can think of to do, and we'd plan things out, and then we would also do a lot of just sort of wandering around the city with a video camera, talking to people. So there was a mixture of things, like the pranks on my parents were planned out, but
so great,
and there was lots of sort of performance arty kind of stunts and things like that. But then sometimes stuff would just happen where like a guy would start yelling at me on the street, and that was like funnier than anything. So,
so great.
Now your parents, I mean, you were doing clubs at 15, and they seemed very unfazed by your show. What was the attitude in real life about all this stuff, about you?
Well, they were always very supportive of everything. But then the show got a little, in their face, and they were conflicted because, I was in college studying this stuff. So they sort of saw that I was applying myself to my college by, making videos, But we would get them a lot in the middle of the night, so they were less supportive because it was 3 o'clock in the morning when we were barging into their room or whatever.
God.
But they were supportive when I was a kid. When I was 16 years old, or 17 years old, we had this opportunity to go record music in New York, and they paid for our, our trip down there, me and my buddy from my rap group, and we went down to New York, recorded music for the summer, and, I snuck into NBC and snuck into the Letterman studio and all sorts of stuff like that.
Really?
Got kicked out, but yeah.
What did they think of, the explosion of the show?
They were, really happy when the show got picked up because they figured that I was gone, and because MTV to answer your question from earlier, MTV basically saw the tapes, so we sent them the tapes, and they said, "Do you have any more of these tapes?" And I sent them my 5 favorite clips, right?
Yeah.
So do you have any more of these videos? And I said, yeah, I have about 1,000 of these videos actually, all on mastered on Betacam, professional. At that time, professional video level, And they said, "Oh, okay, we want you to come pitch the show." They flew me down to L.A., put me up in the Chateau the Mondrian Hotel, the Mondrian, and then I had to go over and pitch the show to the MTV executives at the House of Blues, and on this big pitch session, and. Then they picked it up and moved me. And
did the pitch go well?
It went pretty well. I kind of was I was a very naive person, I think, to show business, and I was very, very confident, I think. Much more confident then than I am now, actually, to be honest with you. Because I was naive to the fact that I probably should not be confident,
Right.
But at that time, I did not know that. Nobody had told me that yet. So, I went...
Isn't it funny, though, how that probably had an effect, too?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they're like, this guy knows what he's saying.
I showed up with the executive at MTV who'd kind of like sort of shepherded me in there into this pitch meeting, had told me, okay, I want you to bring these 4 clips. Painting your parents' house, plaid, painting the car, the slutmobile, right? Falling down on crutches on the street. I think the other one was when I went in a pharmacy to buy condoms. And then I said, I also want to play this one where I'm sucking milk out of a cow's udder dressed as Captain Kirk.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, and he said, no, don't play that one. You can't play that one, sucking milk out of a cow's udder dressed as Captain Kirk. Oh, I mean, really? No, don't play that one. So literally, it's like, this was pre-digital. So he tells me to make a VHS tape, and there's going to be a VHS machine. I'm going to walk in the room, pitch the show, put the VHS in, play them one at a time. So I show up with a VHS tape. I, of course, put the sucking milk out of the cow's udder dressed as Captain Kirk as the last video. And so I also brought a suitcase again, an Adidas bag, actually, and in it I had 2 bottles of shaving cream and a towel. And basically went in, pitched the show in front of all these executives, talked about, I did have a serious pitch. I remember I was quite serious about, like, my understanding of what I was doing. I mean, I did sort of explain to them, we're shooting this on a home video camera. People don't air stuff shot with a home video camera on television. It's going to make it more relatable to kids who watch skateboard videos and stuff. I explained, sort of my theory behind it. So they saw that I was somewhat rational person. Played all the videos, big laughs in the room. Then I played the last one. Told them that the executive told me not to play it, but I'm playing it anyway. Played it. He was covering his head. It got a huge laugh. People couldn't, like, because, this was before, that gross out TV thing.
Yeah.
Was going on, It was before, like, Jackass and stuff like that, obviously. But there was some stuff like that. I mean, there was like Something About Mary. I remember when I saw the movie Something About Mary, with the
come here.
Yeah.
I was kind of like thinking, wow, that's pretty shocking, So there was still some gross out stuff out there. That was before the show was on MTV, but anyway, so the pitch ended, and then I for whatever reason thought this would be a good idea. I went and I lay down on the boardroom table.
Why?
Oh my God.
In front of all of the top executives at MTV, pulled out these 2 cans of shaving cream and covered myself with shaving cream completely, my face, and started thrashing around. Like I used to like to thrash around a lot, like very violently.
This is after a pitch went well.
After the pitch went well, thrashing around and I was screaming, I want to be on MTV. I want to be on MTV. And then I got up and I took some shaving cream off my face and I put a dollop of it on the forehead of just the guy who looked like he was in charge, which turned out to be I just
Templeton?
like that, and
Is
the
that
whole
the
room
guy?
was like. I mean, I was sensing the energy. Like I was getting laughs. Like everyone was dying. They couldn't believe this was happening. And I did that lightly, and it was Brian Graydon who was the head of the network.
Oh no!
And then I left and got in the elevator, and everybody was clapping and laughing. And they called me the next day and said, "Yeah, we're picking up 10 episodes. You're moving to New York City. We got you an
Jesus
apartment.
Christ.
Your friends can come with you." They brought 2 of my friends down who were working on the show with me.
Jesus,
got them
man.
apartments.
Were the apartments nice? MTV?
Very nice,
Okay.
Midtown
All right.
Manhattan.
shit.
Right by MTV, right around the corner. It was pretty crazy.
There's an
Jesus.
excitement to getting an order, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? But like the way that it hit, I don't think people now, if they miss that time.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause-
that kind of feels like that was pre Chappelle show.
Yeah.
What was
excitement?
great?
It was pre-internet, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is.